Hey everyone, this is Lisa from TRW, and in this video we are going to be doing super last minute back to school crafts for teachers. Now I know I'm not the only one who bought stuff from the Target dollar spot and then never got around to customizing them, so this video is specifically for you. But also what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making this custom mason jar, and I'm using a thinner font, but I'm putting it on top of a lot of colors. So really this video is to emphasize the importance of offsets, to separate our colors with it, and then I went ahead and customized this cute little composition book looking pencil pen holder. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how I set this up. So here I am in Silhouette Studio. I typed out the name right here. This is right here is like almost 5 inches wide. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller because it's gonna go on a jar. So I'm gonna make it around 3.6 inches because I am going to be doing an offset. So this is the jar that I'm really gonna focus on for this video. I'm gonna customize a couple other things, but it's pretty simple. So we have this right here. Now the thing with this is I want to use a pretty gold color, and the issues you may have is there are so many colors going on here. So your best tool for something like that is an offset. An offset creates a barrier around your color, but also creates separation between the other colors you have going on there. So we're going to set up our design first. So this is still as a font, so we still have these overlapping letters if you look right here, and we don't want that. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to right click on this, I'm going to weld it, and everything that wasn't overlapping is still its own object. So let's right click and we're going to make it a compound path. And essentially what that does is it takes all of your objects together, flattens it, and combines it into one big object. So now this is where we make our offset. We're gonna go over to our toolbar on the right. This star right here with the line around it is our offset panel. We're gonna click offset, have our name selected. Let's do offset again, and you can see the standard is pretty big. It's 0.125, and you can see it looks really bubbly around there. I'm going to reduce it to 0.06. Let's hit enter. This lets me preview it. That lets me get an idea of what it's going to look like. So you can see it looks pretty good, and then we have it set up there. So you can see we have our offset right here. Now, these little sections in here are going to be difficult. So I'm going to apply the same concept that I use with Make Compound Path, but in reverse to get rid of sections. So this is all together. You can see this moves together. I'm just hitting Control Z to go back. We're going to right click, release Compound Path, and you can see little squares show up around the inside ones, meaning they are their own object. And I'm going to hold down Shift. So when you select multiple things in Silhouette Studio, you can hold Shift to select multiple items. Now the same works to deselect. So if I have these selected and I hold down Shift and click on it, it will deselect it while keeping the rest of them selected. So I'm just going to do that to delete this middle part, and then repeat the process. Release Compound Path, Shift, click this back one, delete. So now I have all the middle sections gone. I can select this outline, right click, and make Compound Path. So now you can see we have our name in there. I'm going to select both, and then this button right here centers them on each other, and now you have that all set up. So now our design is set up it's ready to cut. So now we need to just set it up to set us up for success with layering. So with us layering, we're going to do registration marks. So I went over to my rectangle tool. I'm going to hold down Shift to make a square. So you can see we have that little square right here. I'm going to put this above, and I like to do 3 squares above my design when I do registration marks. So I'm going to hold down the Alt button to get this plus sign, Alt, click, bring it over, click, bring it over, and now we're just going to select all of these. We're going to go to the Align panel up at the top, align them so they're centered, and then this button right here spaces it evenly horizontally, so it takes the first object and the last object and redistributes everything evenly. So in this case, it's going to make that middle square go directly to the middle. So let's set that up, and now we have our registration marks. We're just going to go over and draw one big square around the entire thing to make it easier for us to weed. And now we're ready to move over and set up, oops, I didn't grab that last one, and set up for cutting. So don't forget, we are not doing HTV, so we do not need to mirror it. So we're going to go over to our Send panel. Let me turn on my machine so I can see that. So we have our Send panel. I'm going to be using a cutting mat, and we are going to go over and we are going to select our FDC vinyl. Now again, I always recommend programming your own so you can get, you know, the best cut settings with it. I've done my own. I've done a lot of testing. You can check out the video below where I'm going to link how you can do that. I also have a ton of videos on our YouTube channel on how to program your own settings and how to test for each material. So right here, if we were to cut everything at once, it would cut both colors in one piece of vinyl. We don't want that. We want to cut two separate colors and we want to cut different sections. So we're going to go over by fill. So up here, we have simple line fill layer. Let's select fill. So now you can see we have our no color and then the RGB, which is this gold color. So right now, only the gold is selected. So that means if we go and cut this, we are only going to cut the gold. So right now, I can see an issue that I'm seeing. So I want to go over and I want to select just these boxes right here. Or actually, I'm going to select the outline. So you can see this is my outline right here. I'm going to go over and select it like this. And I'm going to change the fill to gray. So now my outline is one color, my inside is one color, and then my boxes are one color. So right now, let's say we only want to cut the gold, so we're going to cut the gold first, but we always want to cut this no color. So we're always going to cut this weed box around it, and we're always going to cut these boxes up top, the registration marks. This is what we use to line up when we layer them, okay? So this may sound confusing right now, but I promise once I go and cut it and layer it, it will make sense. So I'm going to go ahead, load my material. I'm going to go ahead and cut this gold. And then once I'm done, I'm going to uncheck this gold. You'll see that bold line is gone and we're going to check gray. And we have it set here. So we're going to cut our two colors, and always before you cut, check this material right here. Make sure it's the correct one. So I'm going to go ahead, get my cutting going, and then I'll be right back. All right, so here are my two colors. I'm going to go ahead and weed out the white first. So again, make sure you're programming your vinyl, make sure you're doing test cuts. That'll make sure you can weed everything correctly, saves you some headache. So you should be able to just pull like this, no problem. Okay, so we have that. And then remember, I got rid of all the middle sections in here. So this one's all done. So I'm going to go ahead, bring this up, and set it like that. And then I like to just go ahead and rip off this outside part. Some people like to cut it, but for me, it's just easier for me to just rip it, you know. All right, so let's do the second one. Let's move this out of the way. All right, so I cut it over here. This one may be a little bit trickier just because it is a glitter vinyl. So you just want to be careful. I can see a little section of it is coming up. So what I'm going to do, just to save myself some headache, is I am going to do what's called reverse weeding. So I'm going to cut out the whole design right here without it being weeded. We're just cutting out that whole piece of vinyl. And I'm going to take my, my transfer tape and I'm going to smooth a big piece over it to start. All right, so it's going to pick up everything. So that means that the connection between my transfer tape and my vinyl is going to be stronger than my vinyl to the backing. So that'll make it a lot easier. All right, so we're going to take that. Let me grab my scraper. So again, I'm just going to take this. We're going to reverse weed it, which means my whole design is on there now. So let's go ahead and start off with this. And keep that backing. I set it to the side, but you still want to keep this. So we're going to pick that up. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see a little bit better too. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and weed off this outside part. And I'm actually going to go from the opposite end so that when I'm pulling up the, like, I don't know, front way. So be really careful when you do this. Don't let your vinyl fold over on itself. So you want to try to pull as much as you can up than anything else. So check that out. I was able to get all of that up. And one thing that's interesting too is even the dots on the eyes came up, guys. And if you guys work with vinyl, you'll know that that's very difficult. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get these inside parts out. And if you're doing FDC or signed vinyl often, and you're doing little things like this, I recommend making sure your weeding tool is very sharp. Mine is starting to dull out a little bit, but when you have a really sharp weeding tool, you can basically just stab that section and it'll peel it right up. And so you don't have to worry about kind of the, wedging it, trying to move it, but then you don't want to move your vinyl. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put this backing back on there, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's go ahead and just trim a little bit of this closer. I'm gonna save this tape at the top, especially because my next design will fit right into that tape, so I don't wanna waste it. So what we're going to do is we are going to be layering this, and remember how we made these squares before? So these squares are what we're going to use to line up our design. So we're going to go over here, and I'm just going to cut the backing behind the squares. So what this means is with this vinyl here, this is the only part of it that's exposed. So when we have our base color, we can just go over and we can line up these squares. So sorry if I'm gonna get in your way, but I want to see these. So we're just gonna kind of use this. This is why I like using this clear tape, because I can see right through. All right, so we have our squares lined up right there. You can see that. So now we can take this, flip it up like this, and when we peel this backing up, because our squares are in the same spot, I can basically just roll this down and check it out. I have my two colors. So we'll just cut these squares off because we don't need them anymore. And now we're all set with that. So we have our little name, okay? So here is our little container that we're using for it. Now if we were to just kind of use your imagination, if we were to put gold right on it, you can kind of see it almost like there's no definition, and especially when you have a thinner font. So I'm going to go over here, we're going to take this and we're going to find the spot. So I'm going to kind of put it in front of these like cute like green to pink ones. I think that's a nice look for it. So let me go over here, I'm going to straighten this out, and I'm actually going to go get my cradle to put this in to make it easier to apply. So hold on. Hopefully I don't knock over the light this time too. Well, never mind, I can't find it. So we're going to go over, and I'm going to apply it right on here. So let's go ahead, peel this up. So when you have multiple layers of vinyl, you may have to really smooth it to kind of peel it up. And what I did is I just flipped it over, and I'm peeling the paper off of it. Part of it is because I'm using a piece of scrap vinyl, so I think this vinyl that I'm using right here is a little bit older, so it's giving me a hard time. So again, sorry, I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can see it where I am. And we're just going to find our spot and drop that down. I'm just going to scrape it. And I'm just going to be careful with this tape because this is like a printed on here, so I don't really want to rip off the paint here, but I think it looks pretty good for this one. So we have our name right here. So you can see right here, it looks really cute. We have our gold, but that white gives you a separation between the colors, so you can really have that name shine out. So we have that one, and then let's really quickly, oh, I almost broke that. Let's really quickly work on this one. This is cute, it just looks like a composition notebook. This one's going to be pretty simple. This is for another teacher. This is my friend Shane. And I didn't want anything like too much. I just want a cute little customized thing for him. So I cut this out of scrap vinyl. And we're going to, once again, we're going to do reverse weeding. So here are one of my extra transfer tapes. Smooth it. Peel that up. All right, so we're going to go over here. Bring this up. And then great, so the tricky part is this little dot here. You guys know the drill. Haha. Got it. So now we have our text right there. Let's go ahead and get these middle sections. Got that. And we got that. All right, so now I'm just going to trim this tape closer. I'm not going to put it back on the backing because I really just want to apply it right now. So let's take that. And now I have my little composition notebook looking thing. So I'm going to grab this. I think it's cute. I think that font really works out for this. Oops, see how that came up? So you just want to really smooth it. This is kind of like a unfinished porcelain ceramic, so you may have a harder time with the vinyl. And this right here, both of these items that I customized are from the Target dollar spot. So this was part of their seasonal stuff. So I know we're kind of already back to school, but I can almost guarantee some of you people who got this didn't know what to do and you didn't make anything. So now you can be that parent that the teacher really remembers you giving them something because, you know, school's already started. So everyone wins. All right, so we have this right here and our offset. So there we have it, guys. We have our cute multicolor name with the offset so we can really read it. And then our simple but cute Mr. Shane composition. It's a pencil holder. Now this is a great use of your scrap vinyl. All of this I use scrap vinyl for, so that means the cost in it is really low to you. It's basically cost you've already factored into a previous project. So super easy, didn't take me long at all, and it's not super overwhelming and over the top, and you won't end up being, you know, that parent. So if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more videos. And let me know in the comments below, did you customize any of the back to school stuff from the dollar spot this year? Let me know, I want to see what you did.